Parasite, Gu, breeding long vitae path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. Author, Thousand Lakes True Person. Chapter 461. Promoted to perfect core formation _2. Luckily, with the help of the array heart Gu to understand, otherwise, with his comprehension, he would need at least hundreds or even thousands of years before he could grasp something. This shows the complexity of a fifth stage formation. Of course, once he masters it, the power that a fifth stage formation can unleash is beyond imagination. Wait, if that's the case, why Dea ist unlimited and the others aren't dead yet? This thought popped into Zhou Sui's mind. He sensed Dea ist unlimited, fortune teller, Dea ist Kongxiu, Qianziun, Yefiro, and 7 late-stage nascent soul cultivators were trapped in a formation at this moment. It was the 5th stage ether wood burial birth array. Without a doubt, it was a 5th stage trapping formation. Even if Dea ist unlimited and the others were late-stage nascent soul cultivators, they were helpless in front of a 5th stage formation. They were all trapped within the formation, unable to escape. But they were also lucky. They were only trapped in the formation. If they really did escape from the formation and entered the killing range, perhaps the arrival of the divine light of Kurong sect would instantly rob them of their lives and wipe them out completely. In some sense, they were quite lucky. At least they still had their lives. It seems these guys are about to escape. No, I can't let them escape. They must be temporarily trapped here. Zhou Sui sensed Dea ist unlimited and the other cultivators seemingly continually probing the ether wood burial birth array. These nascent soul late-stage cultivators had a multitude of tactics. They even had numerous 4th stage talismans, and even 5th stage ones. Add the fact that the ether wood burial birth array had been neglected for a long time, eroded by the lengthy years, there was no doubt they would break the formation and escape from it if not stopped. To be honest, he didn't want these nascent soul cultivators to escape for now. After all, his core formation was imminent. If they really did escape, it might affect his core formation. Rather than waiting for those old monsters to act, it's better to be the first to act. With the power of the 5th level ether wood burial birth array, he temporarily trapped these nascent soul old monsters. It wouldn't be too late to release them after he had ascended to the nascent soul stage. Having thought of this, he immediately issued a command to the array heart Gu. Boom! Just then, the ether wood burial birth array started moving. The seemingly dead formation now appeared to have conceived a formation spirit and began to activate. The formation flags acting as its nodes began to emit green lights, and the entire formation seemed to radiate endless array strength. Green mist emerged, covering the whole island. Dea ist unlimited and the others were naturally stunned by this spectacle. Haha, it's just a 5th stage formation, we're about to break it. Even the ancient god transformation sect can't stop us. Watch us break this trapping formation. The demon king of 7 emotions laughed heartily, jubilant. He saw the dawn of breaking the formation and was absolutely thrilled. Boom! But at this exact moment, the whole ether wood burial birth array experienced earth-shaking changes. Many formation nodes began to shift, causing spatial changes, as if forming a spatial labyrinth. All of a sudden, the formation became more than 100 times more complex. In an instant, the old nascent soul cultivators in the field were no longer able to sense any formation nodes. Because a 5th stage formation with someone in control and a 5th stage formation without someone in control, are two completely different things. What the hell is going on? This 5th stage formation seems to have come alive, and someone is controlling it. Damn, didn't the Kurong sect disappear tens of thousands of years ago? How could anyone still be alive? All the nascent soul cultivators looked at each other, their faces extremely ugly. They realized the seriousness of the situation. Because a 5th stage formation with someone in control and one without someone in control are completely different. The power is increased tenfold. If there was no one in control, they could probably break the 5th stage formation with their means. However, now someone was controlling this 5th stage formation. If the enemy had malicious intentions, they'd all die here. Damn, we've been fooled, these god transformation ruins are a trap. Someone is plotting against us. The faces of Fortune Teller and the others were grave. They felt sure that someone was planning to ambush them. If not, why didn't they act when they were breaking the outer formations, instead striking when they began to break into the core area? It was obvious that someone was peeping at them in secret, ready to ambush them at any time. Now they were truly trapped, with no viable solutions. The one who plotted against us is certainly weaker than us. Otherwise, they wouldn't employ such trickery. The question is, the Kurong sect fell tens of thousands of years ago. How is it possible for anyone to survive this long, even if they're god transformation cultivators? It's not an ancient Kurong sect cultivator, perhaps it's a disciple who inherited their cultivation technique. It's likely that the hidden cultivator obtained the inheritance of the Kurong sect. When the Kurong sect's god transformation ruins appeared, they took over, controlling the prohibition array here, and we unwittingly walked into their trap. Damn it, we were the hunters but ended up shot in the eye. Chapter 462. Promoted to perfect core formation _3. I swear, if I find you, there's no way in hell I'll let you go. A group of nascent soul late-stage cultivators were infuriated to the point of nearly bursting their lungs. Who would have thought that one moment of carelessness would lead to falling into the enemy's trap, stuck between a rock and a hard place? But they were helpless. Facing the power of the fifth stage array, they were at their wits' end. Boom boom boom. Not just the core area, the entire island was the same, covered in a layer of white mist. The originally damaged array was now being quickly repaired. The power of the Etherwood Burial Birth Array was fully deployed, enveloping the entire island. All the cultivators who were originally stationed on the island, without exception, were trapped in this area. As for the cultivators who wanted to enter from outside, they were all blocked by layers of prohibition arrays. The island was covered with a triple barrier, no cultivators could penetrate it anymore. It can be said that at this moment, this place that was once a divinity transformation relic has become a cage trapping the cultivators, like a gigantic beast selecting its prey. Excellent, excellent. Now this divinity transformation relic is completely mine. Zhou Sui, who was on Immortal Mist Peak, laughed heartily, full of joy. Other cultivators were all carefully exploring this divinity transformation relic, hoping to obtain some treasures from it. But for him, there was no need for such troublesome work. Just by activating the power of Array Heartgu, he fused the prohibition arrays of the entire divinity transformation relic, seizing the entire island. In this way, no matter who it is, they wouldn't be able to compete with him for the treasures on this divinity transformation relic. I struck it rich, truly rich this time. With this fifth stage island and the fifth stage spirit vein, even divinity transformation is within reach. Zhou Sui was thrilled. After all, it's a sure thing that he will advance to the nascent soul realm, but a person should always have a vision. Now he is already planning for his divinity transformation. The Kanglan Sea area is so vast and boundless, yet there isn't a single god transformation powerhouse. The reason is the lack of the fifth stage spirit vein. At this time, the appearance of the Kurong sect's divinity transformation relic not only brought back abundant resources but also a fifth stage spirit vein, equivalent to bringing back the chance of divinity transformation. For him, it's simply a huge opportunity. If he can seize this island and make it his base, then there's a high possibility of him achieving divinity transformation in the future. The diameter of this island is actually 1.68 million kilometers. In the peripheral area, there are 108 nascent soul level medicinal gardens, 360 golden core level medicinal gardens, and 1024 foundation establishment stage medicinal gardens. Although most of them are in a state of ruin, quite a few spiritual medicine seeds were left. If I could refine the medicine goo, then the medicinal gardens of Kurong sect could be revived. Even a number of ancient spiritual medicines might be resurrected. Zhou Sui's eyes instantly lit up. He felt that this island, once the property of the Kurong sect, is the foundation for his future. Wait a minute, something's not right. It seems a demon has been sealed deep in the heart of this island. And it's a god transformation level demon. At this moment, an idea stirred in Zhou Sui's heart. His divine sense, following the power of the array Heartgu, penetrated deep into the heart of the array, which is also the core area of the Kurong sect's ruins. It seemed like a vast valley, surrounded by densely packed prohibition arrays. But around the valley, horrifying demonic chi was pervading. It seemed to have come alive and was continuously corroding the prohibition arrays at this place. It felt like the terrifying demon within the valley was about to break free at any moment. Near the valley, countless remains have appeared, a pile of skeletons. They were dressed in the attire of the Kurong sect. Obviously, they were all cultivators of the Kurong sect who died here during ancient times. One could only imagine the intensity of the battle that took place in ancient times. Almost all of the cultivators from the Kurong sect lost their lives here. It's the 8 Desolation Demon Sealing Array, a 5th order top grade formation. It's a terrifying array that can seal a god transformation level demon. In other words, a god transformation level demon is sealed right here. This god transformation level demon might even break free at any time after tens of thousands of years. Upon learning the true nature of this divinity transformation relic, Zhou Sui was simply scared out of his wits. He gasped for breath. He originally thought he had picked up a lucky break but didn't expect to inherit such a calamity. Without a doubt, this island of Kurong sect is a time bomb. If handled improperly, it will blow all the cultivators in the Kanglan Sea area to smithereens. In this era where god transformation cultivators are extinct. If this god transformation level demon truly escapes from here, who knows how many lives will be lost. The disaster it would cause might even be more dreadful than a beast tide from the Sea clan. To be honest, he was close to wanting to abandon the foundations of the Tri-Star Island group and head somewhere else. Places like other continents, for instance. Given his cultivation level now, he could go anywhere in the vast world. However, he still suppressed the urge to flee. Because things are different now. He's no longer the foundation establishment stage cultivator of the past who could only be scared off by demons. Now he is a late golden core cultivator. In a short while, he might even be successful in forming a nascent soul. It could be said that he will soon become a pillar of the Kanglan Sea area. They always say that when the sky falls, tall ones will hold it up. Now, he is just that tall one. Chapter 463. Promoted to perfect core formation _4. Actually, we may not have to leave. Even though this demon of god transformation level is terrifying, it is still imprisoned by the 8 desolation demon sealing array. In a short time, this demon of god transformation level cannot escape, at least it can be imprisoned for hundreds of years. Plus, during this period, if the 8 desolation demon sealing array is repaired, then we could imprison this demon of god transformation level forever, and it may not have an opportunity to escape. Thinking of this, Zhou Sui rubbed his chin, and instantly calmed down. Because things might not be as serious as he initially thought, it's not time to leave yet. Back on Immortal Mist Island, when confronted with the terrifying blood demon tree, all he could do was take his family and leave. To this day, he does not dare to go back. If his array Heartgoo had advanced to the 4th stage back then, he might have had the chance to repair the demon sealing array, and continue to imprison the blood demon tree, preventing it from running rampant. But there are no ifs in this world. After all, his array Heartgoo could not have evolved so quickly. The blood demon tree did not give him time to grow his array Heartgoo, so this was just impossible. But now it's different. Soon his array Heartgoo can advance to the 5th stage, to control the power of a 5th stage array. By then, repairing this 8 desolation demon sealing array will be a piece of cake. The 8 desolation demon sealing array itself can easily suppress this demon of god transformation level. If further supplemented by the power of the array Heartgoo, then this demon of god transformation level can forget about escaping. Who is it? Who's been spying on me? At that moment, deep in the valley, a terrifying and violent voice suddenly echoed. A horrifying demonic intent welled up, causing a rampage in heaven and earth. The whole island was shaking repeatedly, creating an earthquake of the 7th to 8th magnitude. Clearly, the demon of god transformation level in the valley had detected that someone was spying on it, which caused its immediate rage. But no matter how hard this demon of god transformation level tried, it couldn't determine the source of the intrusion. Damn Kurong sect, damn human cultivators. Don't ever let me escape, or I'll slaughter every last one of the Kurong sect and the human clan. The demon of god transformation level in the valley roared, full of boundless hatred. Clearly, after being imprisoned for tens of thousands of years, nothing could wash away its hatred for the Kurong sect. Unfortunately for it, its body was tightly bound by chains of demon sealing. No matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't escape from this valley. So it's like a turtle in a jar. That makes things much easier. At this moment, Zhou Sui rubbed his chin again, feeling much more relaxed. To be honest, humans' greatest fear is the unknown. Being left completely in the dark is terrifying. But now he had discerned the truth about this demon of god transformation level and found a way to deal with it. Now he just needed to follow the steps and everything would be fine. Even for a demon of god transformation level, it would not be able to fight from this location. Forget it, let's focus on cultivating. I'll kill this demon of god transformation level after I advance to Nascent Soul. Zhou Sui sat cross-legged on the ground, seriously starting to meditate and breathe nature's spiritual energy. Meanwhile, outside of the god transformation relic of the Kurong sect, the entire island was enveloped by the fog again. No cultivators could enter, or they would be backfired by the prohibition array. Damn, what the heck is going on? Why did the god transformation relic close again? What happened? A cultivator was bewildered, not knowing what to do. He had originally planned to go in and retrieve the treasures inside. But who would have thought that there would suddenly be changes in the god transformation relic? He didn't know what to do. It must be the work of the nascent soul ancestors. They must have touched the prohibition array in the god transformation relic, causing unknown changes. As a result, the prohibition array of the god transformation relic was activated again. Instead, they were imprisoned on the island. These nascent soul ancestors really brought it upon themselves. Someone said with schadenfreude. Since he also couldn't enter the god transformation relic to obtain the treasures inside. So when he saw those nascent soul ancestors met with bad luck, he felt quite happy. Others' misery is always a source of his own joy. Could it be that those nascent soul ancestors have fallen inside? A cultivator thought of this with great horror. To be honest, in this god transformation relic, although it is not gathering 80% of all the nascent soul cultivators in the Kanglan Sea, at least more than half of them are here. It could be said there were more than half of the elite here. If these nascent soul ancestors have fallen inside, it would cause an unprecedented shock. It would also lead to a reorganization of the powers of the nascent soul cultivators. The entire Kanglan Sea might fall into war again and will last for many years before it ends. All forces would only be able to reach a temporary balance. This would not be good news for ordinary cultivators. After all, in chaotic times, the lives of cultivators are considered worthless. This is a well-known fact. No, they haven't fallen yet. The fate card of those nascent soul ancestors has not shattered, proving they are not dead. Probably they are just temporarily trapped on the island. But this is only temporary. It's hard to say whether there will be accidents later. I guess the forces of those nascent soul cultivators are in a real hurry. After all, the nascent soul ancestors from their sects have all been trapped in the god transformation relic. Chapter 464. Promoted to perfect core formation _5. But how does this concern us? Just enjoy the show. Many cultivators discussed it among themselves. Apparently, the incidents occurring at the god transformation ruins had significant consequences. This would also affect the entire power distribution of the Kanglan Sea. If all the nascent soul ancestors trapped within the ruins were to die, the impact would simply be unimaginable. At this very moment, outside the god transformation ruins of the Kurong sect. Here, an old man and a youngster appeared. Master, are we really the last descendants of the Kurong sect? The youngster dressed in cyan robes asked curiously, his eyes lively and filled with spiritual energy. While his cultivation was only in the chi refining realm, he was not intimidated by the foundation establishment or even golden core cultivators surrounding him. Of course, there is no doubt about that. Our Kurong skill that you are practicing is the supreme cultivation method of our Kurong sect, pointing directly to the path of God transformation. Unfortunately, we lack the part on God transformation. Nevertheless, this should be enough for you to cultivate to the nascent soul level. With heaven's mercy, our Kurong sect's ruins have finally re-emerged. It's like a divine intervention. An elderly man was saying excitedly. He was dressed in a cyan Taoist robe, his face resembling dry wood, but his aura was extremely powerful, reaching the nascent soul realm. Clearly, he was a nascent soul loose cultivator, his cultivation level unfathomable. If that's the case, won't we be able to seize the whole god transformation ruins and restore the past glory of the Kurong sect? The youngster asked excitedly. What are you thinking about? Countless cultivators have set their sights on these god transformation ruins. Based on our strength, if we really try to seize this island, we would have been killed long ago. We couldn't protect it at all. Our aim in entering this island this time is to get various thousand-year-old spiritual medicines and the Kurong sect's cultivation techniques. This would already be considered a huge success. Of course, if you could ascend to the god transformation realm in the future, restoring the Kurong sect would be as easy as pie. The elderly man looked expectantly at the youngster, full of hope. Master, are you overestimating me? In the entire Kanglan Sea, countless cultivators have been unable to become god transformation cultivators so far. Can I truly ascend to the god transformation realm? Although the youngster was very confident in himself, facing the unfathomable God transformation realm, he was a bit daunted. For him, it was an unimaginable goal. Not others, but you definitely can. Because you not only possess the heavenly spirit root, and you also have the King Mu longevity body, which is in perfect harmony with our Kurong skill. If we were in the ancient era, you would definitely be taken away by the Kurong sect's leader to become his closed-door disciple. Moreover, you carry a huge destiny with you and can always turn misfortune into good luck. If you can't even become a God transformation cultivator, then there are only a handful of cultivators who can in the entire Kanglan Sea. The old man sighed. To be honest, he didn't expect his luck to be this good. As his lifespan was about to run out, he actually found such a gifted disciple. All he could say was that heaven was favoring him and favoring the Kurong sect. He hated to see the Kurong sect's heritage gets lost under his watch. Master, I will definitely advance to the God transformation stage in the future and restore the former glory of the Kurong sect. The youngster immediately responded with full confidence. Good, very good. But we need to get to the ruins of the Kurong sect first and gather all the spiritual medicines and treasures. I hope those treasures haven't been seized by those nascent soul cultivators. The old man spoke in a serious tone. Before long, the two men approached the island in no time and they could instantly sense the densely packed prohibition array outside the island, filled with a palpitation-inducing aura. It seemed that anyone who got a bit closer would be attacked by the prohibition array inside. Even nascent soul cultivators couldn't do anything about it. Open. The old man took out a green token from his body, which was the sect leader's token of the Kurong sect, capable of controlling some of the Kurong sect's arrays. That's why he was so confident that he could freely come and go in this God transformation ruins. After all, as a descendant of the Kurong sect, he inherently possessed an advantage. However, his face instantly changed as the green token flickered once, but the prohibition array on the island remained motionless, unaffected whatsoever. Impossible, what's going on? This is the sect leader's token of the Kurong sect which can command all the arrays of the Kurong sect. And now it's dysfunctional. The old man was completely stunned and at a loss, not knowing what to say. Before their arrival, he had not anticipated such an outcome. And that's only to be expected. If it were the arrays from the past, perhaps the token would still work. But the array here had long been controlled by the array Heartgu, which effectively committed a coup d'état. Now, this token, trying to execute the officials of the present dynasty with the decree of the previous dynasty, wasn't it a joke? Regardless of how hard the old man tried, controlling the array was a mission impossible. Master, aren't you a fraud? Are you really a descendant of the Kurong sect? The youngster looked suspiciously at his master. Shut up, we are descendants of the Kurong sect, there is no room for doubt. But it seems that the prohibition array on this island has already been controlled by someone. That's why my sect leader token isn't working. Chapter 465. Promoted to perfect core formation _6. The elder spoke quietly. Seriously? Didn't they say this was a 5th stage formation? Who on earth can control and refine the formation here? The young man asked curiously. Ordinary cultivators certainly can't achieve that, not even a 4th stage array master. Perhaps another lineage of the Kurong sect has entered the ruins and taken control of the formation here. The elder voiced his speculation. You're kidding, right? Isn't the Kurong sect's only lineage ours? The youth was taken aback. Of course, we're not the only lineage. As the saying goes, even the craftiest hare has 3 burrows. So is the Kurong sect. To ensure the eternal continuation of the sect, it was split into more than a dozen branches. Each carrying the sect's heritage, they hid across the lands, waiting for the opportunity to rise again. Regrettably, tens of thousands of years have passed, and these branches have mostly been exterminated. I initially thought only my lineage was left, but it seems other branches hardily survived. The elder spoke solemnly. Master, what should we do now? The young man asked curiously. Let's wait and see. Even if someone has indeed taken control of this island, there are still countless secret areas inside that only the sect leader's lineage would know. Maybe we can cooperate with them for a win-win outcome. The elder said. 3 years later. Ever since Zhou Sui had advanced to his 3rd grade spirit root aptitude, the speed of his cultivation had rapidly increased, its efficiency had at least doubled, which was an incredibly marvelous feeling. Adding the fact that the Tri-Star Island group was entirely sealed off, preventing outsiders from entering and disturbing. So, he could quietly seclude himself for cultivation, constantly improving his golden core cultivation power. Time flew by, and 3 years passed in a blink of an eye. In the quiet chamber. Rumble. Zhou Sui sat cross-legged on the ground, with his body as the center. The nature's spiritual energy around him surged, creating a colossal spirit energy vortex. It seemed that spiritual energy from dozens of miles around was rushing over. Luckily, this was a superior 4th stage spirit vein. If it was only a 3rd stage spirit vein, it would have probably been unable to satisfy his daily cultivation needs. Behind him, a true dragon and a godly elephant appeared, fading in and out of existence within the endless cloud of spiritual energy, releasing terrifying pressure. The place was filled with frightening nascent soul pressure, seemingly forming a unique domain of power. Anyone who approached the quiet chamber would feel an inexplicable pressure. It was as if the gravity in the area had increased tenfold, making it feel like their bodies were carrying numerous mountains. Bang! After an unknown period, Zhou Sui felt his body shake, generating a rhythmic resonance. The golden core within him radiated a brilliant light, as dazzling as if it had turned into a sun. The surrounding heat was diffusing, dispersing the endless darkness. Between the lines, the golden core seemed to have mysterious patterns appearing on it, as if it encompassed unfathomable power. At this moment, this golden core had condensed to its utmost, perfect and flawless. It seemed like a star orbiting, releasing rays of radiant light. Golden core realm perfection. Without a doubt, at this moment, Zhou Sui had finally elevated his cultivation to the realm of golden core completion. His golden core was now unable to absorb any drop of mana. This golden core had also reached a state of absolute perfection. It seemed as if a seed inside the golden core was about to germinate and break into a baby. Between the lines, Zhou Sui sensed that his golden core was like a massive embryo, gestating a baby. This feeling was incredibly marvelous, similar to creating life. Golden core completion. After 3 years of relentless cultivation, I have finally reached the realm of golden core completion. This is just great. Zhou Sui opened his eyes and clenched his fists. He could feel that the golden core cultivation power within him had become incredibly profound. It seemed that he could release terrifying power with every move he made. Even a light punch from him could shatter a mountain, obliterating a region tens of miles wide. Mana filled his body like a river, flowing through every vein. At the same time, perfect circulation formed within his veins. Every cell in his body was saturated with immense life energy and explosive power. At this moment, he realized that the mana inside his body had reached a peak and could not make any further progress. Even if he continued to cultivate, it would be of no significance. Unless he advanced and became a cultivator in the nascent soul realm, and then, he would be able to go further and enhance his cultivation level. If you want to advance to a nascent soul cultivator, you have to go through 3 steps. The first step is naturally core breakdown to form a nascent soul. This step blocks over 99% of cultivators. Because to successfully accomplish core breakdown to form a nascent soul, one needs to reach a perfect state of physical strength, energy, and spirit. At this moment, a soul seed has already formed within the golden core. This seed is the embryo. For the embryo to grow continuously, it requires the constant strengthening of soul power. When it grows to a certain extent, this soul power will pierce through the golden core and condense into a nascent soul. Just like a chick breaking through the eggshell, the principle of forming a nascent soul is the same. But these golden core shells are also equally important. Especially for a newborn infant, the initial nutrients are these golden core fragments. Only by devouring the pieces of the golden core, can the nascent soul grow and overcome its initial weakness. If these fragments of the golden core contain impurities or core toxins, the newborn nascent soul will easily get poisoned to death upon consumption, and will become a stillborn. This is why golden core cultivators need nascent soul materials to cleanse the impurities of their golden core and eliminate their core toxins. Otherwise, the formation of a nascent soul will certainly not be successful. Zhou Sui recalled the many insights he had gained about forming a nascent soul, further enriched by his Dao partner's accounts. He had a deep understanding of the process of nascent soul formation. Through the power of the bookworm, he had even simulated the core forming process numerous times. He also clearly understood why forming a nascent soul required nascent soul materials, and the importance of the nascent soul pill. A single nascent soul pill could help a golden core cultivator clear all core toxins from their body, eliminating the many impurities of the golden core, rendering the golden core flawless. Only in this way could core breakdown to form a nascent soul be successful. Obviously, those golden core cultivators whose bodies contained impurities and core toxins, if they attempted to form a nascent soul and began core breakdown, would inevitably fail. Their nascent souls, after consuming the contaminated golden core fragments, would certainly be poisoned to death, with the toxicity being magnified endlessly. Thus, success would be miraculous. Failure would be the natural outcome. Of course, since Zhou Sui formed his core independently and underwent the refinement rituals of the dragon elephant goo, his golden core cultivation power was incredibly pure, without impurities, and no core toxins could remain. Having accomplished this, he no longer needed any nascent soul materials. In fact, for him, the nascent soul materials were redundant, like gilding the lily. The second step is the heart devil tribulation. Because the nascent soul has just been born, it is easily invaded by external heart demons. Only by expelling these heart demons, can the nascent soul be kept pure, allowing the true nascent soul to be formed. However, if a cultivator's persistence is not firm, they can easily be invaded by the heart demons, leading to failure in forming a nascent soul. Some cultivators with a heavenly spirit root, even after successfully passing the first step, often stumble at the second step. However, I have practiced the summoning demon heart scripture and possess the dream soul goo, so this step is also easy for me. The third and final step naturally is the heavenly tribulation. Due to the cultivation of the nascent soul, a sense of heaven and man creates a natural tribulation. Only by going through the heavenly tribulation can a true nascent soul be formed. This is simultaneously a challenge and a rarity. Overcoming the heavenly tribulation and gaining the chi of creation can hasten the growth of the nascent soul. Of course, some cultivators, if unprepared, can easily die under the heavenly tribulation. This is precisely the reason why loose cultivators can hardly form nascent souls. Even if they can pass the first two stages, to pass the third stage, they still need to rely on external help. If they are alone, they can easily die under the heavenly tribulation. Only with the assistance of a sect, can they more easily pass the heavenly tribulation. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. After contemplating the process of forming a nascent soul, he felt that he had a more thorough understanding. If he prepared for some more time, he could begin to attempt forming a nascent soul. Chapter 466. The Dao companions are stunned, nascent soul before the age of 100. _1. It was noon. In the living room, Chu Daiyi, Lin Yazhu, Lang Yuexi, Shen Baiqian, Ji Binjiu, Xia Jinjian, and Mu Ziyi sat around a table brimming with delicious dishes, their aroma wafting through the air. Chun Tao, Zia Tao, Kai Hu Dao, Dong Tao, and Master Peach Blossom were also present. After 3 years of being together, they had grown familiar with each other. Although they couldn't be considered as close as sisters, at least they didn't quarrel with each other anymore. Sitting around the dining table, they were like a collection of the most beautiful women in the world, a feast for the eyes. It was quite a pleasing sight. Master. At this moment, Chu Daiyi and the others noticed Zhou Sui emerging from his secluded meditation room, to their immense delight. They also sensed an unusual aura emanating from him, an indivisible unity, as if he was completely one with the universe. This was a drastic change from his previous aura. Especially for Lin Yazhu, Chu Daiyi, and Master Peach Blossom, these 3 nascent soul women cultivators, who had experienced such an event, could naturally discern what this indicated. Shock written on their faces, they looked at him in disbelief. Master, could it be that your cultivation has reached the stage of golden core completion? Lin Yazhu asked, utterly stunned, as she looked at Zhou Sui. She had doubts if her senses were deceiving her. However, upon perceiving his presence thrice, she found no hint of error, indicating that this man indeed had reached the level of golden core completion. That's correct, your senses are not deceiving you, I have indeed reached the stage of golden core completion. Next, I will begin my nascent soul transformation, Zhou Sui said with a slight smile. He had no intention of hiding anything from his companions, nor was there any need to. After all, they would know when he began his nascent soul transformation, since they would be needed to guard him during the process. You're not even 100 years old yet, and you're already prepared to undergo nascent soul transformation? Master Peach Blossom asked, her eyes wide in shock. Back in the day, she only began her nascent soul transformation when she was about 200 years old. Of course, the slow progression of her transformation was due entirely to the waiting time for the nascent soul pill and various other nascent soul supplemental materials, especially the magical tools for overcoming the tribulations. After all, which ordinary golden core cultivator didn't spend decades, or even hundreds of years, gathering all sorts of supplemental materials? Even her status as the daughter of the Wuji Alliance's hierarch didn't change this fact. In fact, she had already reached golden core completion when she was just over 100 years old. The subsequent 100 years were mostly spent preparing for her nascent soul transformation, as well as strengthening her Dao heart to help her withstand the heart devil tribulation. It could be said that attaining golden core completion was only just the beginning. What truly mattered was the preparation that followed. However, Zhou Sui didn't need to prepare any of these things. Because he had already made thorough preparations in advance, naturally, he didn't need to waste a considerable amount of time. Master, is it too soon to undergo nascent soul transformation? Don't you need some preparation time? Lin Yazhu asked, slightly concerned. After all, she felt that it might be better, and safer, if he prepared for a while before starting his nascent soul transformation. In any case, he was still quite young, just over 90 years old. In the cultivation world, there were no cultivators of his age who had begun to transform their nascent soul. At this age, most cultivators probably hadn't even made their foundation establishment yet. Truly, the gap was simply too large. It's not necessary. I feel that I have already reached a perfect state, Zhou Sui said. All kinds of preparations have already been made. Any further preparation would simply be a waste of time. However, tell me about the situation regarding the divinity transformation relics. Has anything significant happened? Zhou Sui asked. For him, undergoing nascent soul transformation wasn't a big issue. He was quite curious about the situation regarding the divinity transformation relics. He had spent a lot of time recently secluding himself and cultivating and had not paid much attention to the situation regarding the relics. He was unsure of the current state of affairs there. Master, it is still come over at the divinity transformation relics, Chu Dai answered. Since the prohibition array on the island was activated again, no one has been able to get in there. As for the many nascent soul cultivators on the island, they have tried to escape. Regrettably, they remain trapped on the island, unable to leave. The only good news is that the people stuck in the divinity transformation relics have not died. Chu Dai spoke seriously. She had been keeping an eye on the events of the divinity transformation relics and couldn't help but feel relieved. Luckily, she had listened to Zhou Sui and had not decided to explore the divinity transformation relics, otherwise, she would have found herself trapped on the island, unable to escape. Of course, she didn't particularly care about the well-being of the other nascent soul cultivators. The only person she cared about was her master, Qian Ziyun. As long as she knew that her master, Qian Ziyun, was not dead, that was all that mattered to her. Although her master was trapped in the divinity transformation relics, there was no immediate danger to her life. I heard that various nascent soul forces have started to band together to attempt a rescue. But as of now, they have been unable to break through the 5th-tier large array. Thus, all the forces can do is wait and watch. Lin Yazhu added. Many of the nascent soul forces naturally wanted to save their ancestors, but they simply did not have the capacity to do so and felt helpless. Currently, even the 5th-tier prohibition breaking talisman wasn't very effective. The reason it's so difficult to break this large array is that many array masters suspect that someone is controlling all the prohibition arrays of the Kurong sect's divinity transformation relics, which is why so many nascent soul cultivators are trapped in it. But just who is that mysterious array master, and what exactly are their intentions? Master Peach Blossom asked helplessly. In fact, many nascent soul forces knew that someone must have secretly controlled the 5th-tier array of the Kurong sect relics, causing many cultivators to be imprisoned on the island. However, they didn't know whether this person was a friend or a foe. If it was an enemy, then the enemy had not yet used the power of the 5th-tier array to obliterate all the nascent soul cultivators trapped in the array. But if it was a friend, they hadn't released the many trapped nascent soul cultivators either, only keeping them trapped. There was no definite message about when they would be released. So, the many nascent soul forces could only quietly wait. Don't worry. The hierarch of the alliance should be safe. Since the person responsible has only trapped numerous nascent soul cultivators on the island, it's unlikely they have any intention of killing. Probably after some time, they would release them. Zhou Sui lightly smiled, reassuring Master Peach Blossom. After all, he was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes. So, he naturally knew his own intentions. If these nascent soul cultivators wanted to leave, they could, but only after he had ascended to the nascent soul stage. Otherwise, they'd need to obediently stay inside the divinity transformation relics and not think about leaving. Once he successfully ascended to the nascent soul stage, this entire sea region would experience a complete change of power. Upon hearing these words, Master Peach Blossom immediately felt much more at ease. It seemed that this man's words had the power to calm her mind, easing the turbulence in her heart. She felt at peace when she was by his side. Chapter 467. Pill fragmentation becomes nascent soul seed _1. Right, remember what I told you earlier. I found a few storage rings in the ruins of the nascent soul. All these storage rings came from the Yuan Ying elders of the Kurong sect. There were a lot of treasures left within them, including all sorts of inheritance techniques from the Kurong sect. I know you like collecting various heritage jade records. So I saved them for you. Master Peach Blossom moved, immediately taking out a pile of heritage jade records from his body. Apparently, they were all taken from the storage rings of the Yuan Ying elders of the Kurong sect. The Kurong sect's techniques? What's so special about them? Zhou Sui asked curiously. To be honest, he was not in a rush to acquire the inheritance techniques of the Kurong sect. After all, he basically had control over the ruins of the nascent soul, and if he wanted the techniques of the Kurong sect, he could get them anytime. That's why he didn't really care about the techniques Master Peach Blossom had obtained before. After all, he could get them sooner or later. Honestly, it's no wonder they were a nascent soul sect from the ancient era. Their accumulation is simply unfathomable. Among them is a technique named Green Emperor's Longevity Skill, which is said to be the nascent soul technique of the Kurong sect, pointing directly to the path of longevity. If you can master this technique, no matter your spiritual root aptitude, you can advance to the nascent soul realm. Master Peach Blossom sighed. What? Upon hearing this, Ji Binjiu, Muzii, Xiaojinjian, and others' eyes suddenly lit up. Honestly, their abilities are average, just having mid-grade spiritual roots. Being able to advance to the Golden Core realm might be their limit. But if they want to stay with their lover forever, just the Golden Core realm isn't enough. After several hundred years have passed, they will age and turn into a pile of dry bones. They were not willing to let such a thing happen. But if they learn this Green Emperor's longevity skill, wouldn't that mean they have a chance to become a god transformation cultivator too? One by one, they couldn't help but get excited. Such a powerful technique must have some flaws, right? Zhou Sui squinted his eyes. After all, if Green Emperor's longevity skill was really that powerful, the Kurong sect would not have been destroyed in the past. They could have produced a large number of god transformation cultivators. Even the god-transforming demon would not be an opponent of the Kurong sect. Yes, there are definitely flaws. To successfully cultivate the Green Emperor's longevity skill, you must find a heaven and earth spiritual root. This heaven and earth spiritual root must be sacrificed to become the cultivator's life essence plant. Then, through constantly nurturing the life essence plant, absorbing the essence of grass and trees, and the energy of the sun, moon, and annual ring. Once successful, the practitioner can have more than 3 times the lifespan of a cultivator of the same level, and also borrow the power of the spiritual plant to transform into a suitable Taoist body, thereby increasing their spiritual root aptitude. But finding a suitable heaven and earth spiritual root is not easy. Not any spiritual plant can become a life essence plant. Since the world has changed, spiritual energy has gradually become thin, and heaven and earth spiritual roots have become increasingly rare, almost hard to find. Moreover, the higher the level of the heaven and earth spiritual root used to cultivate the Green Emperor's longevity skill, the better, because the future achievements of the cultivator are completely bound to the life essence plant. If it is only a 3rd stage heaven and earth spiritual root, then the highest achievement in the future will only be the Golden Core realm, and a 4th stage heaven and earth spiritual root, the highest achievement will only be the nascent soul realm. If you want to advance to the divinity transformation realm in the future, you must at least find a 5th stage heaven and earth spiritual root. Unfortunately, even in the ancient era, finding a 5th stage heaven and earth spiritual root was an extremely difficult thing. So this technique was considered as a burden to the Kurong sect in the past, and not many people practiced it. Master Peach Blossom explained all the advantages and shortcomings of this technique. Upon hearing these words, Ji Binjiu and the others heaved a sigh within their hearts. As expected, taking a shortcut was not an easy task, and just looking for a heaven and earth spiritual root was already incredibly difficult. I'm afraid there's more to the shortcomings of this technique, right? Zhou Sui continued to ask. Because if the only flaw of this technique was just this, then given the power of the Kurong sect in the past, they could have found a fifth stage heaven and earth spiritual root if they did their best. Of course, there's more. Because this heaven and earth spiritual root needs to be planted in a suitable place, at least it has to be a spirit vein of the third stage or above. If it's a fifth stage spirit vein, it would be better. When cultivating this technique, you also can't be too far away from the heaven and earth spiritual root. If you leave the range of the heaven and earth spiritual root, the effectiveness of this technique will instantly disappear. And it requires continuous years of cultivation. Only constant hard work will yield results. Often hundreds of years, thousands of years, or even 10,000 years of painstaking cultivation. Even the cultivator's cultivation level and life essence plant are closely related. Only when the life essence plant's cultivation level is improved, the cultivator's cultivation level will also be improved. If one were to find a heaven and earth spiritual root that grows very slowly, a kind which even after hundreds of years won't advance, then the cultivator is likely to exhaust their lifespan and die. Master Peach Blossom said solemnly. This. Upon hearing these words, Ji Binjiu and others twitched the corners of their mouths. They were speechless indeed. No wonder this technique became a burden to the Kurong sect in the past, and not many people practiced it. After all, if a god transformation cultivator can only stay near the heaven and earth spiritual root and cannot leave the sect, then it wouldn't mean much to the sect. Chapter 468. Breaking Pill into Infant, Nascent Soul Seed _2. At best, they could serve as the guardian of the sect, protecting its safety. More importantly, finding the fifth stage heaven and earth spiritual root, is a very difficult task even for the Kurong sect. The rarity of such spiritual plants is practically countable on one's fingers. Not bad, not bad, this cultivation technique is not bad. But Zhou Sui's eyes suddenly lit up, feeling extremely excited. Because the various flaws of the Green Emperor's longevity skill, in his view, are not flaws at all. His object-searching goo could help him find all treasures in the heaven and earth. Naturally this includes the fifth stage heaven and earth spiritual root, even the sixth stage heaven and earth spiritual root. Furthermore, if he can refine the medicine goo, then with the power of the medicine goo, he could accelerate the growth of the spiritual root, helping them to improve quickly. Originally he was wondering how to help his Dao partner improve her cultivation. In accordance with Ji Binjiu's spiritual root aptitude, perhaps with the assistance of large amounts of resources, they can become a golden core master, even reaching the level of a nascent soul ancestor. But for a god transformation cultivator, or even a more powerful cultivator, I'm afraid it might be somewhat beyond his abilities. If they cultivate the Green Emperor's longevity skill, then they will all have the chance to become immortal ancestors in the future. As for not being able to leave the spiritual roots during cultivation, that really isn't a problem. With his protection, staying near the heaven and earth spiritual root would pose no threats to them. One could say that this technique was custom-made for his Dao partner, its uses were endless. During the deep of the night, in the quiet chamber, Zhou Sui let the bookworm consume all the legacy cultivation methods related to the Kurong sect. Immediately the books in the virtual library within the bookworm began to increase. Among them was the Green Emperor's longevity skill. Of course, apart from the Green Emperor's longevity skill, there was also a powerful divine art, known as the Kurong Mysterious Light. Kurong Mysterious Light, it is the most powerful divine art of the Kurong sect. Zhou Sui was astounded. When he learned about this divine art, he was incredibly shocked. In the past, the god transformation sect Kurong sect, relied on this divine art, and became the absolute ruler of the Kanglan Sea, practically invincible. This divine art power is quite simple, it's life for life. Once it hits the enemy, it can exchange your own lifespan with the enemy's, thereby consuming the enemy's lifespan. If the enemy's lifespan is nearing its end, this divine art would be like a godly skill. It can ignore any defense, and easily take away the enemy's life. With the Kurong sect's true cultivation method Kurong skill, combined with the Kurong Mysterious Light, it would mean invincibility. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. If it's just the beginner level Kurong Mysterious Light, you can use your own 20 years of lifespan, to exchange for 1 year of the enemy's lifespan. If one reaches the skilled level, you can use your own 10 years of lifespan, to exchange for 1 year of the enemy's life. If you become proficient, you can use your own 5 years of life, to exchange for 1 year of the enemy's life. If you reach the minor accomplishment level, then you will have real battle power, using 1 year of your life, to exchange for 1 year of the enemy's life, almost an equal exchange, life for life. Once you reach the great achievement level, the power of this divine art becomes more terrifying. You can use 1 year of your life to take away 2 years of the enemy's life, equivalent to twice the consumption. If you reach the Grandmaster level, then you can use 1 year of your life to take away 10 years of the enemy's life. It can be said, once this divine art is cultivated to the Grandmaster realm, then you can be considered invincible. Of course, for ordinary cultivators, life is extremely precious, almost impossible to trade with others' life for life. Unless it is a last resort, to the point of life and death, only then might one use this divine art which damages the user. It can only be used as a trump card. It can't possibly become a regular method. This divine art suits me perfectly. Zhou Sui's eyes lit up again, he was extremely excited. Because his life is ridiculously long, even though he is only just at the golden core completion, his lifespan has already reached over 10,000 years, even the lifespan of ancient monsters can't compare to him. A god transformation cultivator only has a lifespan of 3,000 years. Nobody can compete with him for the length of life. Even if he were to trade life for life, he would still come out on top. Although he wouldn't foolishly trade his life with the enemies, if he truly encounters a life or death crisis, this divine art could definitely bring a line of survival. This weapon is like a nuclear bomb. It doesn't necessarily need to be used, but we must definitely have it. One could say that combining this technique with my long life, it would mean invincibility. This is a supreme divine art that can challenge those above one's level, it is endlessly mysterious. Grasping this divine art is not an easy task. Even in the ancient era, the Kurong sect, with this divine art, cultivators who truly started cultivating it were few and far between. Because to learn this divine art, one must comprehend the power of life and death. Simply put, it is the power of life and death. The essence of the divine art, Kurong mysterious light, lies in the transformation of life power and death power. Only by comprehending the transformations and mystery between life and death, understanding the power of life and death, can one possibly comprehend this divine art. Otherwise, mastering it would be impossible. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. This is the difficulty of the divine art, if one does not have sufficient enlightenment, even if one has the method to cultivate the divine art, it's probably impossible to learn it, just end up staring blankly. Chapter 469. Breaking Pill into Infant, Nascent Soul Seed _3. Just like knowledge in mathematics and physics in the previous world, any ordinary person can learn it, but how many of them can reach a PhD level? The best level for many is the level of high school. It is the same in the world of cultivation. For a top-tier divine power like Kurong mysterious light, the difficulty level is comparable to topology in past world mathematics. Even if someone has the method to cultivate this divine power, there are hardly any cultivators who can actually master it. Fortunately, he has the help of Bookworm. If he devoted himself to practicing this divine power for a period of time, he might be able to grasp the basics. Just at this moment, Zhou Sui sensed a change in the divinity transformation relic. Many high-level cultivators at the Nascent Soul late stage, trapped in the divinity transformation relic, seemed to have run out of patience. They had been trapped in there for 3 years, had tried various escape methods, but nothing worked. By now, they seemed to have figured something out. So it is, I understand. This is the 5th order lower grade etherwood burial birth array. It's a kind of trapping array. Staying within the array, the power of etherwood regenerates endlessly, and etherwood cages surround everything. No matter how we annihilate them, we can't escape from the cage. The speed of destruction is vastly slower than the speed of regeneration. To break this trapping array is simple, we need to use fire against wood. The Hall Master of Haisha Palace, the sea-splitting Demon King, laughed heartily. He studied this trapping array for 3 years and felt that he was completely familiar with this 5th order lower grade formation. He himself is a 4th order formation master. Despite being very far from becoming a 5th order formation master, he can at least understand some mysteries of this 5th order formation. As expected, the Hall Master is unrivaled. It seems our hope of escape lies with the Hall Master. All of those upright and righteous cultivators are useless, they can't even break an array. The Nascent Soul cultivators from Haisha Palace admiringly watched the sea-splitting Demon King on the side. Watch how I, the sea-splitting Demon King, break this array. The sea-splitting Demon King was full of confidence. He took out a 4th order top-grade talisman named Dark Flame Talisman from his body, Driving his vital nascent soul mana, he immediately threw it towards one of the formation nodes. Boom! Immediately, terrifying black flames erupted, forming a sea of flames engulfing the sky, burning fiercely on the dark green vines around. The aim was to thoroughly burn the surrounding plants. He intended to use the power of the fire to destroy these plants completely. But at that moment, as the formation began to work, a thick green fog enveloped the area. An invisible spatial force covered the space, instantly shifting the fireball out. What? The sea-splitting Demon King was stunned. He hadn't expected his painstakingly thought-out strategy to have no effect on this trapping array. He couldn't damage the formation at all and the enemy remained unscathed. Impossible, how could this be? Why is there no effect at all? Isn't fire supposed to suppress wood? The sea-splitting Demon King could hardly believe what he was seeing. His beliefs fell apart, the strategy he studied for such a long time was of no use at all. The other Haisha Palace's nascent soul cultivators also looked at each other, not knowing what to say. You know little. Indeed, the power of fire restrains the power of wood. But this ether wood burial birth array is not purely a woodside formation, it also blends the power of space. Any attack against the array will be shifted away, just like the moving stars in the sky. Your wishes to use fire to destroy this great array are futile. If this array were indeed that easy to destroy, then it would not be a fifth-order formation. Daoist Kongxiu, the sect master of Tianjian sect, spoke unhappily. This sea-splitting Demon King in front of him is just a novice fourth-order formation master. He probably had reached his limit in this lifetime. It's impossible for him to understand a fifth-order formation. If it were really that easy to break the array, he would have escaped from this place long ago. He would not have waited until now. That's correct. Moreover, this trapping array is not a fixed formation, it is a live formation. Someone is secretly controlling this great array, trapping us. If that's the case, our escape from here will be even more difficult. Lord Tian Xuan, the master of Suanbao Tower, spoke in a solemn tone. He saw that, although the etherwood burial birth array was powerful, if no one were controlling it, with their abilities, they should be able to break it. Unfortunately, this great array was in operation, and various formation nodes were continuously changing. This left them clueless and unable to interpret the mysteries of the formation. Now they felt like criminals, imprisoned within this great array. Who the hell dares to confine us here? The sea-splitting Demon King's face darkened. He too had thought of this, and that was why he wanted to leave the divinity transformation relic swiftly. Unfortunately, his abilities fell short and he couldn't break the formation. There's actually no need to rush. I believe the other party may not have much malice. If they really wanted to kill us, they wouldn't need to control this etherwood burial birth array. If they manipulated another fifth-order killing array, we would all likely die here. We should just wait patiently. The person behind the scenes will reveal themselves sooner or later. Daoist Unlimited sat cross-legged on the ground, calm and tranquil, his Dao heart steady. Chapter 470. Breaking Pill into Infant, Nascent Soul Seed _4. He felt that if he could not escape, then there was no need to waste his energy here. Instead, it was better to remain calm and still, maintaining his prime state to deal with any unknown enemies. If they genuinely had no malice, they should have let us go, not trapped us here. Refusing to communicate with us, yet not wishing to kill us, what on earth does that guy want to do? The sea-splitting Demon King and others ground their teeth in frustration, feeling completely vexed. Never in their lives had they encountered such humiliation. Now, they felt like fish on a chopping board, left to be slaughtered at whim, with no chance of resisting. Yet, even so, they could only wait quietly for now. Very good, it seems that the power of Array Heartgu is quite potent. There's no need to worry about them escaping for the time being. Zhou Sui was very satisfied when he sensed this scene. Initially, he was worried that while he was in closed-door cultivation, these nascent soul cultivators would escape from the divinity transformation ruins. But seeing this now, he felt that he had underestimated the power of Array Heartgu and had overestimated their formation cultivation level. After all, this was a fifth-order formation. How could they escape so easily? Even God transformation cultivators, if they don't have a certain level of formation cultivation, are most likely trapped in this formation. Not to mention nascent soul cultivators. So, worrying about these cultivators escaping was completely groundless. Is this the palace master of Piao Miao Palace, Yefiro? She possesses such profound yin force. At this moment, Zhou Sui for the first time saw the group of beautiful nascent soul female cultivators trapped in the formation. The leading nascent soul female cultivator had a stunning figure. Among all the female cultivators, she stood out like a crane among a flock of chickens. She was not inferior to Jianxiun, and one could say that the comparison was very reasonable. She was enough to make any man salivate. Although she was veiled, it did not hide her unparalleled beauty in the slightest. Every frown and smile, every gesture, exuded infinite charm. If Jianxiun was a capricious witch, full of enchanting allure, then this Yafiro was like a saintess, pure like a nun, untainted by an iota of dust or worldly desires. It only made the world seem all the more sordid in contrast. No wonder this woman was hailed as the #1 beauty in the Kanglan Sea region, causing countless nascent soul cultivators to be jealous, fighting over her. Her fame spread far and wide. Even now, being over 700 years old, her grace was not reduced from before. In fact, with the passage of time, she was becoming even more beautiful. But what he never expected was that the long-famed Yafiro still had yin force within her. It was truly hard to believe. That's right, it could have great correlation with the cultivation technique practiced by the Piao Miao Palace. Maintaining yin force is the key to enabling swift progress in cultivation. Probably if she loses the yin force, her cultivation might stagnate. So that's why the palace master of Piao Miao Palace chose to remain unmarried, living alone till now. Zhou Sui stroked his chin. He suddenly felt a little excited. If he were to obtain this palace master Yafiro of Piao Miao Palace, and then also the sect master Qianziun of the Sky Demon sect, plus master Peach Blossom, wouldn't that mean he would have all the 3 great nascent soul female cultivators of the Kanglan Sea region? After all, after advancing to the nascent soul realm, the difficulty of cultivation would surely further increase. Perhaps one might be stuck at a bottleneck for 100 years, unable to make a breakthrough. At such moments, having a cultivator partner could most likely improve the efficacy of cultivation and speed up the process. Of course, even without taking cultivation into account, simply looking at such a peerless beauty is a feast for the eyes. Moreover, if he obtained Yafiro, it would likely be equivalent to seizing the entire Piao Miao Palace. By then, he would have both the Sky Demon sect and Piao Miao Palace under his control. I need to find an opportunity to put her under my spell. Zhou Sui felt that this was quite a simple matter. Just by sending a clone into the formation, he could swiftly put a spell on Yafiro, with no risk of any mishaps. If he hesitated now and she left, maybe he would hardly see her in the future. Miss this opportunity, and there may not be another one. At this moment, Yafiro, the palace master of Piao Miao Palace, suddenly opened her eyes. She looked around in confusion. Just a moment ago, she had detected an intrusive gaze. But even though her divine sense scanned all around, she was unable to pinpoint where this intrusive gaze was coming from. What's the matter, palace master? The nascent soul female cultivator next to her noticed Yafiro's expression. It's nothing. Let's continue to look for the weak point of this formation, try to break through it as soon as possible, and get out of here. Yafiro took a deep breath. She felt that the one hiding behind the scenes surveying her must have been the one controlling the formation, but she had no way of dealing with it. Being trapped in the formation, she was like a fish on a chopping board, completely at the mercy of others. Qianziun is here as well. At this moment, Zhou Sui also shifted his divine sense to the sect master of Sky Demon sect, Qianziun, who was also trying to crack this fifth-order formation, but in vain. He had to admit, after seeing her multiple times he still found this woman incredibly breathtaking. She was, after all, a witch who had shocked the Kanglan Sea region for hundreds of years. She was the epitome of beauty. Just too beautiful for words. But it was a pity that now was not the time to obtain this woman. After all, a rose must be plucked when it is most ripe to be the most beautiful and alluring.